Love you.
Okay, I just said goodbye to my lovely daughter. This is my second flight, and the air was very dynamic, and
Or
it was
not.
coming over the backside, and so you had to time your launch because it was pretty much coming directly up the spur.
What's that?
Rather.
Yes. Yes.
So
I know
this
that.
very aware pilot is, just ensuring that I know that the conditions are strong out there. There's going to be pretty significant.
Yeah, can you flip that side this way? They take the end and just rotate it.
There's going to be pretty significant lift out there. This is the second flight I've had on this wing, I think. This might be the first.
No, it's okay. I got it.
I don't think I would have flown it the first time.
Oh, man.
With that warning and my difficulty here. It wasn't really difficult. But I did do a flight prior to this one, and it was quite confidence building. Unfortunately, I didn't
hooked
get
on the ground there. It's hooked on that.
Any POV video of that. My battery was dead, so, that happens.
Okay.
I left this in the edit because I think it's important to tell the story of the reality of paragliding. I mean, this is not uncommon to, lose your first launch and get the second one. And I remember going, that guy's telling me that the valley winds are kicking in. But you can hear my Vario. It's interesting, there's very predictable lift zones here. And once you kind of figure it out, it can be really, really fun to surf them. I don't really know this area on the side of the launch. I didn't want to get too far away and lose my lift that I know, but I did know there is a lift band right at the edge here. So this is my third flight on this wing. My previous wing was a 24 Bruce Goldsmith design cloud base, cloud base. Great wing. I flew it about 5 years ago here at Chamonix with my buddy Chamonix. This wing just handles like a really competent street bike. It's very responsive, but it feels like you have a lot of. I'm just listening to that Vario. So I remember this band over here, and I could just kind of cut back and forth and surf it. The only problem are those wires above me, those cables. And the lift was strong enough to send you right into those cables if you weren't paying attention. So I was just kind of trying to figure this area out here. Just exploring the air. The very first time I flew here, I flew all the way over to those trees and then sunk out. And I know there's some pretty sinky air also over here. So it's mindful of that, because although this 16-meter wing has great lift, it's still only 16 meters, so it's beautiful. I'm just waiting for the next time I get to fly Chamonix. It was such a delight to be back here. It's so incredible. So I'm still feeling this wing out, and I'm not pushing it anywhere to its limits. I'm sure I'm probably exploring its limitations to about 20%. I really like this wing, this Air Design Susi 3. It packs down to the size of a grocery bag that you can just throw in your luggage, and yet, I mean, I'm soaring. So a soaring wing that you can literally carry on to an airplane is unbelievable. To have this kind of performance and safety that comes with this wing, it really was confidence building. I had a front mount that I'm not super used to having and thinking about deploying, so I had to kind of consciously think about that. But you know, my proximity is pretty close. I mean, but this wing was just amazing. It was just amazing to feel this out. And I had such a smile on my face here. This was really a breakthrough flight. I hadn't been very current. I'd only flown 3 or 4 times recently. And so, you know, you're always tentative when you're getting your current status back. It's very frustrating to not be able to fly regularly. So I was starting to figure this out here. And it's just so much fun to fly this wing. It's like you're surfing, just carving along. You can hear that vario. I'm just soaring. Probably 5 meters a second. I know I've hit 10 meters a second here on my previous trip right through this area. And again, those wires, so you're getting all this great lift, and you feel like you could just shoot to the moon, and then you look up and you see these wires. You can imagine all kinds of mayhem that would ensue if you got tangled up in those things. They would not But what's so insane about this experience is I'm just a dad and just a normal guy, and I'm like ripping around in the air over Chamonix. I mean, I feel super blessed to have been able to have these kinds of experiences. So I could have stayed up here all day long, just ripping back and forth. But I was with my daughter, and so I was trying to be a little bit conservative because it was just me and my daughter here on the other side of the planet. So I'm kind of playing it conservative, and also from a time standpoint, I need to eventually land so that we can go get some food or something. But boy, I tell you, this was such a magical experience. I think I went down after this flight and I said, I'm going to do one more flight. And I had this really magical evening glass off experience here in Chamonix. It was incredible. I'll be posting that. And then the next morning, it's again this kind of stronger conditions, but after this flight and the next flight, my confidence in this wing soared, and I really got to get down on the treetops and really enjoy just the same experience that any soaring bird would be experiencing. It has to be the most incredible experience you can have with under 10 pounds of equipment. I mean, I watched this and I'm just blown away. I mean, look at this. It is so beautiful. And it's not like this is the Alps. It's like this everywhere. I mean, Chamonix, Mont Blanc, Aguidi, those are really exceptional, but there's some really exceptional terrain in this part of the world. And your ability to access it. There are, cable cars all over the Alps. And they run 7 days a week, taking tourists up to see the vista off of the top of the mountain. So if you're a tourist and you just happen to have a paragliding wing, well, you're winning for sure. When I was a kid, there's just no way that I would have ever thought that I would be doing something like this. hear that barrier just screaming. It's getting pretty rowdy. So this is the advantage of this 16-meter travel wing, I'm gonna call it. Super lightweight harness, front mount, reserve. But often in the Alps, in the summertime, midday, it's too powerful to fly. The valley winds are moving pretty good. So I think I'm blowing out. Oh no, look, I bumped up. Let's see where I'm at here. Yeah, I think I may have thought it's getting spicy and I need to start thinking about getting my feet back down on the ground. So I pulled away from the mountain there, the mountain face, get out in the middle, and then I'm gonna start descending. So now I've got some altitude, so if I needed to throw my reserve, I'd have a little bit of time. So now I'm starting to explore the stability of a spiral or a partial spiral down. Just feeling it out. I'm not over water, so, you know, but I do want to understand what this wing feels like and what kinds of input I need to consider. Starting to get a little more nose down on that spiral. So I'm also considering my landing. So I'm right over, not there. Checking my descent rate. And considering there's two landing areas. There's that one and there's that one. The field is farther away from the gondola, and it's larger, but it's a farther walk. Or I could land really close to the gondola in that other landing area. Not there, that's a golf course. wing overs in just to get the feel. There's a landing right down there, those paths. And I'm gonna play it safe. The landing in Chamonix that's near the gondola, the Brevant, got that area right there, is surrounded by 6-story hotels. And when you get down there, you know, you could be dealing with turbulent air, and that was my thoughts. But it's a nice long. This one over here is not as long, and you got those trees, so the air is moving right to left, which would be up valley. And on that little pond, you can see ripples. And so I'm going to set up the air's moving pretty fast, probably about 20, maybe at the tops of those trees, maybe 20. Definitely gusts into the 20s. So I'm going to set up right on the edge of those trees. And I obviously don't want to end up in the pond. As you can see, that landing is, I'm looking at that and thinking, can I make it? Because now I've got a 20-mile-an-hour headwind. Okay, you can hear the airspace warning. There's an airspace warning, so you have to be aware, because there are helicopters that come down the valley on the far side. So there's a corridor for them. So I came up short in Grindelwald. You actually have to clear this fence, and I realized that I wasn't going to make it, so I ended up landing on the road because I undershot my landing. I wasn't used to the angle of descent on this wing, so I underestimated it. So I'm just gonna basically go back and forth over these trees as I lose altitude. And the wind is almost perpendicular to these treetops. I don't want to set up too deep because I could get stuck in there and end up in a tree. But I don't want to go out over the field because then I'll end up in the lake. Actually, you could run out that little corridor. I just saw that now. Just being patient, being very aware of my descent, because I could drop really quickly. But I don't want to get too far out into the field. So it's a little bit skewed on the wind angle. You can see the treetops there. And I dropped pretty quickly. Like, look at how close I was to the trees there. I came down at 45-degree angle, I think. There was enough wind. You can see the trees bending over there.
Woo, spicy.